What's up, everybody? Happy holidays from Movies Never Say Die. Christmas time is right around the corner, and I think there was just something special about Christmas time during the 1980s. Looking at all the thick catalogs filled with some of the best toys ever created was a part of my childhood, and the 80s would also deliver some of the best Christmas movies that has ever been made. I have 10 holiday flicks from the 80s that I watch every year, and I think these are the best Christmas movies from the decade. So let's get into it. We're going to step back to the glorious year of 1985 for my number 10 pick. I have the television movie He-Man and She-Ra, a Christmas special, a holiday-themed adventure featuring both those from the Masters of the Universe and She-Ra, Princess of Power cartoon series. I don't know what it is, but watching this just takes me back to being a kid again every single time. I was such a huge fan of the Masters of the Universe. Their toys were the best, and this special really delivers just a warm, inviting, fantastical adventure. Orko accidentally crashes on Earth. He meets up with a couple kids who were lost after venturing out for the family Christmas tree. Skeletor gets into the mix as well, and it's a great ride. I just love the overall charming holiday spirit in this special while still keeping with that Masters of the Universe flavor, and I look forward to spending Christmas in Eternia once a year with this special. We're going to jump forward a few years to 1988 for my number 9 pick, and I'll be honest, this movie is a bit much, but it still is pretty fun. It's the holiday comedy Ernest Saves Christmas, starring Jim Varney as Ernest P. Worrell, who will try to find a replacement for a retiring Santa Claus. Now, this movie is one I'll admit I like the idea of much more than the act of actually sitting down and watching it. Ernest certainly was a product of his time, and this movie does have some laughably silly moments, but it has lost a bit of its luster in my childhood nostalgia bank, yet, I still put this movie on once a year. It's filled with holiday spirit and plenty of dumb physical humor and kid-friendly jokes, and while it may not be a movie that requires your full sit-down attention, it is a charming little holiday flick to put on when decorating the tree or cooking up some Christmas casseroles. I'm taking us back to 1985 for my next pick. Number 8, I have Santa Claus the Movie, starring Dudley Moore, John Lithgow, and Dave Huddleston as Santa Claus. Now, this movie was a financial flop, and it did divide critics, but I've always loved it for what it is. It's a joyous adventure, just oozing with holiday spirit. This was Alexander Salkind's production, and it does very much feel like a Santa Claus version of Superman the movie, but I don't know, I kind of like that. I like the visual appeal of this movie. The production design is just rich with detail. The North Pole is still visually stunning to me all these years later. It still evokes so much thought of holiday wonder while watching. The performances are great as well. Dudley Moore is charming. John Lithgow is just delightfully devilish with a vibrant turn as the corporate villain. This movie does capture Santa Claus a bit too superhero-ish, but I love the adventure of this plot, and it just gets me into the holiday spirit each year. Now, my number 7 pick is a classic comedy from the decade overall. I have Trading Places, starring Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd as two guys who find their lives and their financial statuses reversed coincidentally during Christmas time. Now, this technically isn't a Christmas movie, but it is set over the holiday season, so for me, it's more than enough to make an excuse to watch it once a year. Aykroyd is legendary as a Santa Claus at rock bottom, invading a fancy dinner and pulling salmon out from under his coat on the bus. This is just a hilarious movie from start to finish. Murphy and Aykroyd are a riot, with Jamie Lee Curtis anchoring them nicely, giving this laugh-heavy comedy a solid trio, with the winter backdrops infusing more than enough holiday atmosphere for adults to watch during the holiday season once the kids have gone to sleep. Next up at number 6 is also one of the best action movies from the 1980s, and it just so happens to take place during Christmas time for a little bit of it. 1987's Lethal Weapon, starring Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, as well as Gary Busey as Mr. Joshua. This is another movie that is simply set at Christmas and not technically about Christmas, but like my last pick, when the movie's fantastic, you find a reason to make watching it a tradition. This movie opens to Jingle Bell Rock. Shane Black loves setting his movies at Christmas time, and it gives us Riggs taking out drug dealers and a Christmas tree farm, plenty of 80s era Christmas decorations in the backdrops of scenes, bullets going through cartons of eggnog, and a heartwarming reminder of how terribly Christmas trees were decorated in the 1980s as Riggs lets Murtaugh know he's about to risk his life to save his family, which really is the best present a buddy can give you. We've reached the middle of my list, and I have another 80s classic at number 5. I picked Gremlins from 1984, the fantastical horror comedy about furry little creatures that turn into gnarly green creatures and wreak havoc on a quaint little town on Christmas Eve. Gremlins is just a wildly adventurous movie that still feels completely unique all these years later. It doesn't focus on the holiday or spreading warm holiday energy, but it does manage to create a nostalgic atmosphere that just feels right while watching during the holiday season. The cold, snowy, small town just is the perfect setting. It's inviting, and while it isn't about Christmas, the holiday is a constant theme. It's actually a pretty dark holiday movie, but it lures you in, and it's one of those movies that you can sit back and enjoy for its holiday vibe, its 80s nostalgia, its practical effects, while also getting a chuckle out of its sadistic sense of humor. Coming up next at number 4 is one of the all-time great action movies in film history, not just from the 80s. It's also the topic of a heated continued debate amongst movie geeks. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? You bet your ass it is, and I love watching it during the silly season each year. I definitely think Die Hard's a Christmas movie, and each year I love watching McClane get invited to his wife's company Christmas party and seeing all hell breaking loose. It certainly isn't a movie that focuses on the spirit of the holiday and much of the holiday tradition, yet it's something about watching a shoeless McClane taking out Hans Gruber's cronies during the Christmas season just feels right. Willis is in top hero mode. The movie delivers Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis. It shows hooking up at the company Christmas party, casual 80s cocaine use, Santa humor, and McClane saving the day just in time to open presents with his family. From the director of Porky's, Bob Clark, my number 3 pick is filled with 100% holiday charm. It's A Christmas Story from 1983 about a little kid named Ralphie that just wanted to get a BB gun for Christmas. I think this will be a holiday flick that will stand the test of time. The time period settings do create a multi-generational appeal. It's nostalgic to look back at now, but the family bonds, the holiday traditions, and the comedy and the dialogue still resonate well all these years later. The narration immerses you into the story. It connects you even more with the characters, and the production design creates a just a visual atmosphere you can't help but escape into. But at its core is a family bumbling their way through the holiday season, and that's what makes this movie just, I don't know, so endearing as it latches on to the kid inside of us and just injects you with a full dose of holiday vibes. Moving along to my number 2 movie, I have a comedic classic starring a comedic legend and a retelling of a classic holiday tale. It's 1988 Scrooged, directed by Richard Donner, starring Bill Murray, about a guy who is visited by 3 spirits on Christmas Eve. I love the dark sense of humor, the makeup design, and the practical effects of this movie that give it so much visual appeal. I think Murray is fantastic as the Grinch-like TV executive who treats people like shit. He's just fantastic in this role and running at full comedic speed. You really enjoy disliking him early on, yet his charm allows you to find some appeal in him, seeing the error of his ways throughout this story. The supporting cast is excellent and everybody really does leave their imprint on the story. I think it puts a completely unique twist on this famous tale, and I think the sarcastic humor, the blunt moments, and the wild antics are always a treat for the holidays, and it's just a Christmas redemption story that's tailored perfectly to Murray's personality. And for my number one pick, I have a holiday comedy that's not only the best Christmas movie from the 1980s, in my opinion, it's the best Christmas movie ever made. Written by John Hughes, I have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, starring Chevy Chase in easily his just most iconic role. I think this movie is slapstick holiday humor at its finest. It's filled with hilarious dialogue and comical sight gags. The physical humor is a riot. Chevy Chase is at full speed as a Clark Griswold who is just relentless in wanting to create the perfect holiday for his family. I think this movie injects all of the holiday traditions into its story and just drapes Griswold insanity all over it, which does make hanging Christmas lights on the house or finding a tree or shopping for Christmas gifts and having family over all hilarious in their own individual ways. D'Angelo is great alongside Chase once again, and Randy Quaid as Cousin Eddie is a scene stealer. So, I mean, this movie really is a top-notch comedy and a heartwarming holiday film, all wrapped up in one, because watching this movie now is just as much of a tradition for families as it is to, I don't know, open presents. And that's my video for today, guys. 10 awesome Christmas movies from the 1980s. I want to wish you guys all a happy and healthy holiday season. Let me know what some of your favorite holiday movies are from this decade. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you're all amazing, and I really do appreciate your continued support. So until the next video, I'll catch you guys at the movies.
It's Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?